Welcome to the channel. Welcome to All Things Woman, where we discuss femininity, womanhood, and I give you overall life advice. If any of that interests you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about how jealous, envious people absolutely hate when you improve your life in some way. When you improve your life, you will suddenly be under attack by jealous, envious people. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Jealous and envy is such a demonic, wicked kind of thing, in my opinion. And it's amazing, as the thumbnail says, a lot of people like you better broken. When you are not doing that well in life, when you are struggling in some way, people who are jealous, they can tolerate you more. But the more you begin to level up, the more you begin to do better for yourself, there are certain type of people who cannot stand you at your best. So we're going to get into all of that, and I'm going to answer some of your questions as well. Social media currency, you were the first one here. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Dulce Sweet, this is going to be good. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here. Hi, I made it to a live. Welcome, Adrian Roxanne. Love it. Welcome to the channel. Asia Lee, welcome. Exclusive Marina, it is so true. Absolutely. A lot of people, when you are broken, when you are down bad, as they say, a lot of people have no problem being around for you. They're there to talk to you. They're there to, quote, support you in their way. But the moment your life starts making improvements, you start doing better, you start wanting better, suddenly people get a little different. Not all people. I would hope that people understand I'm not talking about all people. I'm talking about a certain type of person, a jealous, envious person. They cannot tolerate people who they never perceived as a threat. And I have to say that because you might not see yourself as a threat, and you shouldn't really see yourself that way. You shouldn't see yourself as a threat to anybody. And oftentimes people who are not jealous and envious, you don't think of yourself in that way. But other people who are haters and jealous, they absolutely do. So when I say you're no threat, they didn't perceive you as a threat simply because you were down bad, simply because you were going through something. And some people are more comfortable with you when you're going through something. They're more comfortable with you as long as there's always something wrong in your life. If you are the kind of person or you were the kind of person who, you always had to lean on them for something, you had to run to them for something, and suddenly you decide that you no longer want to be that person. Like, you are going to improve your self-image. You're going to improve your situation. You don't want to be looked at as someone who's always in need of help. And I'm not saying that we don't all need help from time to time, but jealous, envious people, they are depending on you to be that pitiful friend. They're depending on you to be that family member that they always have to rescue, that they always have to, go to help them escape in some way. And when you take that away from them, some people, especially when they have jealousy and envy deep within them, they're not going to be able to handle that. At one point, they might have loved you, but suddenly they'll start to really loathe your presence. Your presence will make them feel uncomfortable once you begin to level up. Jealous, envious people, they don't like to see other people improving their lives. Jealous people are often jealous of other people's successes. And I'm not saying a person who, somebody got something you want and you might have wanted it and they got it first. I think that's a natural reaction. But there's something about people who can only handle being around you as long as something's wrong in your life. There is something completely off about that to me. Good afternoon, Stevan Harris. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Allow me one moment. I'm going to pull my ceiling fan because it's a little bit warm in here. Sorry. It's a little bit warm, so I have to pull my ceiling fan. It's like suddenly spring just popped up on us. So it's like I might have to forego the sweaters and the cardigan soon because all of a sudden spring is here. Good afternoon, Stevan Harris. Nikki, hello. Welcome to the channel. Going through this, Asia Lee, going through this with an old friend trying to resurface in my life. Now she sees how well I'm doing. I see the shade being thrown. Absolutely. When you begin to do better and somebody always dependent on you to be that pitiful friend, the one that they didn't think that was as good as them, but they still wanted you around because it just made them feel good about their lives. The moment you even look like you're getting on their level or surpassing their level, some people will suddenly have a problem with you. They loved you, they admired you, they invited you to everything up until you got that job, up until you moved out of the area, up until you stopped hanging in certain places. People who are jealous and envious, oftentimes at your level up, they don't feel comfortable with you unless you are down bad. And then there's some people, they try to make you feel guilty about leveling up. And this is why you have to know how to deal with jealous, envious people. Because jealous, envious people, they want to cut away at your confidence. They almost want you to feel guilty about bettering your life in some way. Some people use manipulation in order to distract you from doing the things that are making you better as a woman. And if you're not careful, you will allow them to chip away at your confidence, chip away at your spirit, and get you distracted from your purpose. And we cannot have that. Cinnabon, welcome. When I was depressed, this chick was around constantly. When I made a huge real estate deal, it was crickets. She couldn't stand to see me succeed. Absolutely. And I understand exactly what you're saying because I've been there also, where it seems like people only like you when you're in your worst state. And then suddenly when you come out of that, people, and especially people who are jealous and envious, you can tell when they're undercover haters because they want to bring to your remembrance all of the hard times that you went through. Suddenly they want to go down a memory lane talking about all the stuff that you've been through and how bad it was and, you know, how you wouldn't have made it out of this. I'm not saying just like thanking God for what you came through. I mean, some people who like to suddenly make you feel like don't forget where you came from, they are masters at bringing up the things you've been through in order to, quote, keep you humble today. And nothing wrong with being humble. I'm not anti-humble. I am anti-people trying to humble you. That's what I'm talking about. Jealous, envious people, they have a way, a sneaky little way of trying to humble other people when they feel threatened by their success in some way. Thank you, Cinnabon. You said cute sweater. Thank you. This chick, yeah, she couldn't stand it. Yeah, that's crazy. Exclusive Marina, welcome. Welcome back to the channel. And Gemels want to argue and fight with you for no reason. Just your existence triggers them. Absolutely. I mean, many of us as women have experienced walking into different rooms and suddenly the women, the whole energy shifts where they act like either they don't see you or they see you and they want to make it known that you're not welcome there with the snickers and the eye rolls and the side conversations. You know, you can't worry about those kind of things. That's just reassuring you that you're doing something right. But when they get upset because suddenly you're doing better, it's because they themselves are dealing with their own insecurities. See, a lot of people, they like to project their own, low self-esteem, their insecurities, the things that they might not have been able to accomplish. They like to project that onto other people when they see them doing better for themselves. Instead of putting that energy into doing the things that's going to make them better as a person, they want to project their negativity onto you and try to make you feel bad for your success or feel bad for your level up. They want you to feel bad for even trying. They want you to stay stuck because they're stuck. That's the way a jealous, envious person works. They don't want to see you surpassing them in any way. They don't even like the idea of you trying to do better because it signals to them that somehow you're going to leave them behind. And oftentimes when you're talking about a jealous, envious family member, a friend, those kind of people, they are normally very codependent. And I'm not saying that you don't like to be around one another. You're generally just, you have a decent relationship. When I say they're codependent, when a person who's jealous is codependent, it's like they're depending on you to stay in the trenches with them. They don't see a way out. They're not really solution-based thinkers. They are more so like, as long as I'm in the trenches with my girl, I'll be all right. But the moment you get tired of being in the trenches or you decide to think or do something different, suddenly you're their enemy. Diana Subachuk, welcome to the channel. Asia Lee, this is exactly the situation. Cinnabon, gotta leave them where you found them if they are trying to bring you down. Absolutely. Some people think, especially if you're a spiritual person, they often think that you're supposed to tolerate somebody bringing you down just out of love. You're trying to show them grace. You're trying to do this and do that while somebody's trying to bring you down. Being spiritual does not give somebody a pass to manipulate you or take advantage of you. And this is not saying you have to be a spiritual person. I'm just saying for my spiritual people, that is not a okay for somebody to continuously try to put you down and bring you down. There's one thing to give people grace, benefit of the doubt, and all of that. But if somebody continuously take advantage of you, continuously try to hold you back in some way, and they get mad at your progress and try to belittle you and disrespect you, that is not a person you need to be around. That is not somebody that you keep giving passes to. Because when you keep giving passes to people who are mistreating you and trying to hold you back from becoming a better person, you are essentially hurting yourself. So there's no such thing as just like, don't, just that's how they are, this kind of thing. It's like, I don't believe in that. When somebody shows you that they're a hater and that you can't really thrive in front of them, you can't show them what you're doing, you can't even talk about what you're doing, you can't even show the right type of enthusiasm in front of them, those are not the people that you will ever be able to grow and develop and be successful in front of. And success is different for everybody. Success is not always money. Success is not always financial status. Success can be having a more peaceful life. Success can be being more healthy. Success can be more spiritually grounded. Success can be having a family. Success can be being able to mind your business and not be caught up. At whatever level of success you're at, if somebody is jealous and envious of you in that specific area, they will suddenly treat you differently. And you cannot allow that to cause you to scale yourself back from going after the things that you know are going to make you better as a person. Let me look at some of your comments and sip my water. Asia Lee, wow, yes, we met up for dinner and she brought up how me and my fiance used to argue in the past. I was so thrown off she brought that up. Haven't spoke to her in 9 years. Yeah, that's like what even would warrant something like that? And that's how you can know too when somebody's jealous of you or somebody just kind of gets a kick out of seeing bad things happen in your life. And I know it's very weird to think about. There are some people like that who get a kick out of seeing bad things happen in your life. When somebody in an inappropriate time brings up something that is hurtful or painful or something from your past that is irrelevant to your present, that is a jealous, envious hater. Unless you are talking about that situation, unless you brought it up and you said, I saw my ex-boyfriend, my whoever from the past, like I ran into him in the store. I saw him. I couldn't believe I was with him. And then she said, oh yeah, y'all used to argue all the time. That would make sense. But for her to just bring that up and you're out at lunch with her, why would that be seen as something that's kind of light, something where you would have that kind of chit chat when you're out with your girl? Like, I don't understand that. Special K, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live. I just went through this Saturday. I didn't know any of these women, only the host of the party. Some of the women had nasty attitudes. Yeah, typically a lot of women do have nasty attitudes, unfortunately, especially when they're first meeting other women. Why it's like this, I really think it's a defense mechanism because a lot of women today aren't really accustomed to other women being kind and nice to each other. So even if the woman might not be that kind of woman that's like negative and nasty, she still has to put up that like stone-faced demeanor in order to defend herself, just in case you are the type of woman that she's trying to protect herself from. I know that was a mouthful, but a lot of women, and I have experienced this in my own life because I've met many women who, when you first meet them, they're very stone-faced. Like they don't look approachable at all. But then once you're around them, they start talking and it's like, oh, she's kind of, she's pretty nice. Like we're actually vibing here. Like we're like the same, But it's that defense mechanism because a lot of women are not accustomed to other women being nice to them. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is, unfortunately. Daniela J. Free Jivians, welcome to the channel. Much love to you for your guidance. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Above Ruby's TV, welcome back. My aunt is that person. Shaking my head. Which person? Because I talked about a lot of different things just now above Ruby's TV. AW, I had to move, and my family didn't know where I live. Now they were sabotaging my life. My family don't know where I live. Now they're sabotaging my life. How so? Do you want to give details on like what they're doing to try to sabotage your life? And that's unfortunate. You move out the area and family act like it's the end of the world. And you know, half the time it's family that you don't even talk to anyway. And then if you move out the area, it's like, what's the big deal? I haven't seen you and I've been around the corner. So what's the problem? If you want to be real about it, you know, that kind of thing. Ashonda at large, welcome. First time live, new to your channel. I enjoy your content. I am so happy that you're here, Ashonda at large, and I appreciate you being on this live. Welcome. Limes over lemons. I appreciate you for speaking on this topic. Thank you. You are so welcome. Limes over lemons. I love that. Actually, I like lemons over limes, but I love that handle. Welcome to the channel. All I feel for you, love. I moved far away. You're responding to her. Okay. Oh, live. How about envious men? They can be covert. I did a live about envious, jealous men a few days ago. It's actually listed. It's the most recent live opposed to this one. So just check that out. Because trust me, I understand how men can be very jealous and envious as well, and how they don't want to see you level up. And I spoke all about it in that live. So check that live out once you're finished here. This is a powerful and needed message. Absolutely. I mean, when I was going through, and I have to say, like, I'll be as transparent, you know, as possible with you. When I was dealing back in 2015, 2016, I brought this up before, but I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and panic attacks. So I was literally like, in the middle of the night, my family would be sleeping and I'm like jolted out of my sleep. I could sleep no more than maybe like a half an hour to an hour at a time. Suddenly I'm jolted out of my sleep. And I have a spin bike. So my family and everything, they're sleeping. And I'm up at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning on my spin bike, trying to exhaust myself enough so that I can go to sleep for a long amount of time. Like literally that was the cycle for me for months. Going to sleep, being jolted out of my sleep by panic. When I am up, very antsy. I'm trying to find something to do, I'm giving you this story because it's leading up to what I'm talking about here. So I was going through panic and anxiety, and I'll never forget the day that it happened because I was laying down on the couch. I had worked during the day, got off at 5. My husband was at his job. He worked at night or was doing double shifts. So I never forget, I put the kids down for bed and I was laying on the couch. You know, I had wine at the time, had my Moscato, and I had me some cherries with some whipped cream, and I was laying on the couch, winding down. And I put on a documentary about all people. I used to like the cult documentaries and stuff. So I was watching about Jim Jones and what happened to them over in Ghana, I believe. So I was watching that and I fell asleep. Next thing I know, I was jolted out of my sleep and I was shaking. And I didn't know what was happening. Like I felt very shaky. And you know how, like, if you've ever been sick, you just feel like you don't know which end everything is coming out of. Not to give TMI, but that's literally how I felt. I felt like I had to run like both. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I went to the doctor, went to the emergency room, and they said, we think this is mental. We think this is psychological. Like all of your tests are fine. All of this is fine. We think you might be dealing with anxiety and panic. So naturally, they wanted to prescribe me some kind of medication. I took the medication one time and said, oh no, I can't do this. I need to still function for my babies. Like I want to calm down, but I can't be like just out. That medicine made me so sleepy where I just couldn't function. So I decided to not take it again and just try to like just do what I know to do. A lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. At the time I wasn't going to church as much because I was working and I was focusing on that. And then on the weekends I rested. So I just was in the house doing a lot of natural herbs. I would get my teas. I would get my natural supplements. They had something called Calm Forte. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Calm Forte. It was in this bottle. I would take that and I would break open a valerian root tablet. Valerian, it helps, but it smells like horse manure. If anybody's taken valerian root before, you already know it will sedate you, make you feel good, but it smells horrible when you first open it. So I was taking that, ashwagandha, all these different things, and it was helping a little, but not as much as I needed it to, and quickly. So during that time, I made a decision. You know what? My job, the bulk of the stress I believe I'm feeling is from my job. So I left the job. And during that time, the little bit of a backtrack, even I couldn't even eat that much during that time. Like, you ever have that globus feeling in your throat, like something stuck in your throat? Well, that's how I was feeling too. I was that level of panicked and dealing with anxiety. I would try to eat like strawberries, toast, things like that. And it's like I had a hard time swallowing, not because anything was stuck in my throat, but because I was that level of pent up with anxiety. Once I decided to leave the job, suddenly some of that anxiety came off of me. But then fear set in about what if this, what if that? So at that time, I started going to a different church. The people helped me so much. And I started building a community with the people, and they were wonderful and all of that. But once I noticed, once I started getting better, nothing really got any closer, not with them, but there were certain people that I met through them that I was around and, helping and all these kind of things. But when I started getting better and I didn't have the shakes anymore, I wasn't shaky, having my own earthquake, because if you've ever dealt with panic and anxiety, it's like you're having your own earthquake. It's like you feel tremors. I was dealing with that for about like 9 months, almost like 8 months, where I was dealing with that off and on. I lost a lot of weight. I was working out because I was trying to keep myself, calm, doing different things. But long story short now, I went to a church. The people were very supportive during my time when I was going through it. I met some people, met a couple friends through that. But I noticed the better I got, certain people were not around me anymore. I would try to reach out to them and they suddenly didn't have any interest in being around me. And for me, it was like, wow, when I was going through my hardest time, thank God you were around me. But now that I'm better, it's like, I'm talking about certain things. I'm looking certain ways, because when I was going through it, I didn't really care too much about how I looked. I still tried my best to keep it together, took a shower, but not much more. I was trying to function. But suddenly God broke me out of that. And I started coming back to myself, doing my hair and, being more physically, active and being able to eat better. So my weight picked up a little bit more. And I'm more confident. I'm like, God got me through, thank God. And I just noticed they didn't receive me the same way. Not the people at the church. It was a few people I met from there. I'm not saying the pastor and the wife, and no, none of them. They were wonderful. I still had a relationship with them. It was some people I met from them that we developed really friendships. And all of a sudden, they're no longer around. I'm like, what is it? Because now my faith elevated. Now I don't have the shakes. Now I look better. So now I'm like, you don't want to be bothered because I'm better now. And that was when I got my first kind of taste of how people really love you when you're down bad. When you have a good struggle story, when you have something that you really been through, people eat it up. But the moment you're doing better, if you have come out a little bit too great, it's like, okay, it's not even like that. I remember when you was like this. And I had people for a while remind me of when I was going through the anxiety and remind me of when I was going through the panic. And I'm like, that was something very traumatic for me. I never experienced anything like that. Why would you remind me of something like that? Like, I'm not the same person. Like, during that time, I wasn't the same person. I wasn't myself. I give you this story to tell you that there are some people that when they see you a certain way, it's like they prefer you that way. They can always have the story where they saw you at your weakest point. But when God, the way I see it, delivers you from that, it's like now suddenly, you're just like, I don't want to be bothered. It's very odd. Exclusive Marina. So basically, you were going through spiritual war. I believe you mean warfare, which I feel like gives you issues with sleeping patterns. Possibly. Possibly, I believe that maybe same thought I was having a heart attack. Yes. Possibly spiritual warfare, or it could have been just some choices I was making in my life. A lot of stress, taking on more than what I should have at that time. Back then, I probably said it before, but I really had the mindset that I can do everything. Like I still had that superwoman, even though I'm married, strong, independent woman mindset, where even though I'm tired, I'm still going to push past my tiredness. I'm going to push past everything that my body is saying not to do and still do it anyway. Look, you want to be fully transparent? When I was working at the bank, sometimes I would be so stressed. And I know I'm coming home to my toddlers, I'm coming home to my babies. We had an underground like shopping center and all of that where the trains are. I tell you no lie. And don't judge me. I would stop there was like a Crown Fried Chicken, not Crown Fried, there was a Church's Chicken down there. I would stop there and get a cup of ice. And then there was a, as we call them, state stores out here. There was a state store down there. I would stop at the Church's Chicken and get a cup of ice after work, and then go into the state store and get me a Heineken and pour it in there and then get on the train. That's what I would do back in 2013, 2014, when I was still drinking a little bit in order to be able to cope and go home and still be a little bit mentally there in order to talk to my babies. Yeah, I was that level of stress, but I was wearing it well. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just did it because that's what we're supposed to do. I'm Black. Like, I'm a Black woman. I can do all things. Okay. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's sometimes the way we're perceived. And if you've been programmed that way, you start to believe it about yourself. Like, hey, I can do all things. Like they even say Black women don't feel pain. And I start to believe it. Like, hey, I'll push past this. And my body said, nope, no, you don't. But I give you that story to tell you that even in those moments of when I was stressed and all of that, I would be on the phone complaining to people sometimes about how stressed I am, about the job is going this way. People at the job are getting on my nerves. This is getting on my nerves. This is happening. That's happening. And people were eating it up. But the moment God told me, you know what? You're doing too much talking here, number one. Number two, you can change that situation. Do you trust me or not? This is not a sermon, but I'm telling you like what was happening with me at the time. Do you trust me or not? And then number three, you're not by yourself. Stop acting like you're by yourself. So once I got that in my head, I make the hard decision to leave that job because that job was a good job. I was working in a bank. I was making a decent amount of money for one of my adult jobs, the most money I've ever made really at that bank. And it was going well. And I had to fight against all different types of things. But I give you that backstory to tell you that the moment I got rid of the struggle and started doing things that made me happy and made me better as a woman, people did not receive me the same way they received me when I was that work mule, that flunky, running around, doing everything, letting everybody dump on her, taking on the stress, letting people dump on them, just allowing people to, pity me. And I'm not saying needing help is pity, but sometimes we can get into that mode where we become pitiful. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I was a little bit pitiful back then because I felt stuck. Like I could not change my situation when I simply had to say no to certain things, or I'm not doing all of this, or acknowledge that I'm not by myself. Why am I acting like I'm by myself? So there's a lot of things that you can change about your life. And some people, they can sense your lack of faith and they can sense your lack of confidence in yourself. I believe that a lot of people who might have been around me at the time, yes, whiskey to bubble my personality, Angel, look, I would get that cup of ice from Church's Chicken and pour that Heineken. And I remember telling my friend, Heineken should be in CVS because it's like some kind of medication. I haven't drunk that in a very long time. This is like 2013, 2014. But when I was, my goodness, I was like, that was my go-to. Like, this got me right. My babies be talking about everything. And I'm just sitting there on the floor like, all right, give me a hug. I'm hearing everything and able to stay up a little bit later until my husband get home, But yes, some people, as I was saying, they just, once you are out of that mode, they just can't receive you. It's like, They don't want to hear that you're choosing something better for yourself. They don't want to hear that you are choosing to not be stressed. Some people prefer you that way. And that's essentially them saying they prefer you in the struggle. If you take away their inability to say all to you, if you take away their inability to pity you, then some people who are jealous and envious, they're not going to like you. And some people might say, well, if you had a good job and you were doing all these things, don't you think somebody would be jealous of the fact that you have a good job, not the fact that you are now not at the job and you're home and all that stuff? No. You know why? Because it is customary for people to see a woman, especially a woman of color, and this is all things woman. This is for all things woman. However, sometimes I will speak specifically to Black women because, number one, I'm a Black woman. And number two, there are certain things that are almost expected of us. When they are accustomed to seeing you running around like a work mule, stressing yourself out, in the Black community, oftentimes that is seen as you proving your worth and showing that you are a good woman. When you can do everything, when you can bear all, when you allow everything, when you show a lot of patience, a lot of grace, you allow people to do what they want to do to you, and you take it on the chin, then you're seen as a strong, confident Black woman. You're wearing that as like some kind of cape. And when you decide, you know what, I'm Black, I'm a woman, but the strong part, yeah, I'm strong, but not like that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to break down my sanity, my mental strength, my physical strength, or my spirit in order to prove that I'm able to do all things. I cannot. And people will be jealous of that because you're choosing to tap out of the matrix. You're choosing to tap out of what society says you should be or what culture says you should be. And now you're thinking about what's best for you. A jealous person does not like to see somebody else putting themselves first. God first to me, but putting yourself first. And that's what I decided to do. I said, and I just wrote a letter to not a letter, but a little note, because I've recently made some changes in my life that I will tell you about next week. But I wrote a note and I put fresh face, rested and free. Fresh faced, rested and free. I will tell you what that means next week. But it's a goal of mine to always be fresh faced, rested and free. And there's a lot of meaning into that. I'm going to go live. It might not even be next week. It might be later on in this week. But yeah, I've made changes in my life because I don't care what people think, number one. And number two, people are going to be jealous regardless. And it's not always of the things that you think they would be. Let me look at some of your comments while I sip my water. Did you get the book, How to Be a Feminine Woman, the Blueprints? Because a lot of what I'm discussing going forward and even within these videos and the lives, it really intermingles with being a feminine woman and leaning into your softer side. I truly believe doing that, you become more aware of your body, more aware of the things you like and the things that you don't like, the things that you will accept and the things that you won't accept, the things that you will tolerate and the things that you won't. Also, Girl on Girl Wars, a book on jealousy and envy amongst women. Have you gotten that book yet? I suggest you do so. They are demonic and I want nothing to do with them. No more muling. Absolutely not. Clever Girl Reading, welcome. My mom kept telling me to stay at that good job. They lied on me. Management didn't care. I was getting bullied and harassed, but they tried to discipline me for everything. Love it. God rescued me from them. Awesome. Awesome. And Clever Girl Reading, a lot of people, because they live in fear, and I just have to say how it is, because a lot of people live in fear, because they have a poverty mindset, because they have a struggle mindset, because they have lack of faith, they will often settle for those things that are harming them rather than to step out and find out or try something different or try to strategize or make something else work. A lot of people have kind of a stagnant mentality, which is another reason why you might find people being jealous of you. If you are a more hopeful and maybe ambitious or a woman who at least doesn't see herself as stuck, you will attract haters. You will attract jealous people because they're not used to seeing a woman saying, I have options. When you operate as a woman who has options in her life, people will be jealous and envious of you. When you have enough confidence combined for me with your faith, people will be jealous and envious of you. People will take an issue with you simply because you're choosing not to be stuck. You see your glass is half full, not empty. You know that you're never stuck in any situation. And that truly rattles a jealous, envious person. They don't want you to have that kind of optimism. They don't want you to have that kind of hope. They want you to be stuck or feel stuck like they are. And it's unfortunate that many people don't understand just how much control they have over their lives. I'm not saying that every single thing that happens in our lives we have control over, because sometimes life be lifing, as they say. But there are a lot of things that we absolutely do have control over, and we're afraid to make a change out of fear that we're going to attract haters. People are going to be jealous. People are going to be envious. People are not going to understand why I would walk away from this. People are not going to understand why. As women, we have to learn how to stop doing things for people's understanding and start doing things that we know are going to benefit us and those who are closest to us. You know, of course, if you're a mother or wife, you want to think about your family. But in the end, if you make a decision that's going to make you better as a woman, that's going to trickle over and benefit your family as well. Cinnabon, I appreciate you sharing your very real struggles with stress and anxiety using a substance to cope. I think it's more common than people speak about. Absolutely. You have some people who, you know, I know some of our the older generation where a lot of them, they had undiagnosed anxiety, undiagnosed depression, undiagnosed these different mental illnesses, and they were masking them with alcohol and other substances. You know, I believe a lot of the older generation, they said they were functional. They went through all this stuff. You know, they tell us, a lot of our generation, you know, we're soft. Well, your generation was soft as well, just heavily medicated with different substances. That's why y'all were able to deal with everything, because you were always drunk. Yeah, I would be able to deal with things too if I'm always inebriated or feeling it in some way. Maybe that was a little bit too real. Sorry. I appreciate you. Diana Sobachek, only miserable people want to harm others. Absolutely. This is a hard lesson. Ashonda at large, this is a hard lesson I had to learn. People you think are in your corner could really be your greatest haters. Absolutely. Because you have to notice, when are they in your corner? Of course, naturally, we all want somebody there for us going through things. And thank God for the people you do have in your life that's there for you in your lowest moment. But if those same people have the mindset that, okay, they can only be around when you're down bad, they can only be around when you're not doing that great, then those people are not your true friends and family. They're haters. When they treat you differently and their personality changes because you're doing better, that's a problem. That's a red flag. Asia Lee, that's good when you operate as a woman who has options. Absolutely. Yeah, having options. Jealous people don't like when you are the type of woman that says, I don't care that this is a job, you're still going to respect me. I don't care that you're the manager, you're not going to talk to me however you want to. People don't like that type of woman because they want you to be so fearful of losing the job that you're going to let whomever just berate you and belittle you and talk down to you. And if you're a woman with an ounce of dignity, you're not going to let that slide but for so long. I'm not saying like a little tone and how they talk. As long as what they're saying is respectful, if their tone is a little bit whatever, who cares? Whatever. But if they're always like just coming down on you and you just allow it, and you don't allow it, people who are jealous and envious, they're going to look at you like, oh, so you're not afraid of losing your job? God provides for me, not this job. I got this one, I'll get another one. That's literally the way I've always seen everything. Like, before I let you like do me that way, Like, I will leave. Like, jobs, I understand people are so fearful right now, the job market, this and that, whatever. God has always provided. I'm sorry, I can't get around that. God has always provided for me, for my family. I don't fear about these jobs. And then when you have gifts in your hands, meaning your creativity and the talents and skills that you have as a woman, you definitely don't feel like you're stuck under anybody's thumb. And jealous people hate that. It's like they want you to have fear of something or someone. And when you look at people just like they're people and like, okay, what are they going to do? What are you going to do? And it's not that you think you're tougher than nails. It's not that you're not the kind of woman that can be affected by things. It's just that you have a certain level of foolishness that you will and will not deal with. And people don't like that kind of mindset of a woman. They get very jealous. They get very envious. They look at you as if, oh, who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? Since you have so much to say about me, who do you say that I am? So people don't like, you have that kind of mindset, people are not going to like you. Jealous people are not going to like you. People who want you to be easily controlled and manipulated, absolutely, they want to have an issue with you. I've always been the kind of person that's like, I'm not fearful. Like, I don't know. I feel fear, of course, I'm a person, but like of people, like, I don't know. Like, I've been the kind of person, like, because I know you don't like me, I'm coming, like that kind of thing. And I don't know if that's petty, but whatever. At this point in my life, I don't do those kind of things, but I've always been the kind of person that's like, okay, what can they do? What are they going to do? I don't know. Loretta Toombs, welcome to the channel. Welcome. I love your channel. I love it. Thank you for being here. I absolutely appreciate you being here. I'm in ministry. When men, Ashonda at large, I'm in ministry. When men don't like my fire, they say I suffer a woman not to speak. Okay. That's a whole different one. Now, I don't know exactly what you do in ministry, and I don't want to make this into something scriptural because we're not talking about anything like that. But men can use that kind of thing out of context. I don't know exactly what you do in ministry. I have certain beliefs about women in ministry also. But I know sometimes men will use that against you simply if you're saying something that makes too much sense. So Above Ruby's TV, responding back to Ann Burwell. Yes, but yeah, when you operate as a woman who has options, yeah, like you're not stuck by anyone. It's like, why would I be fearful of something that I've been through before? And this is another thing that jealous, envious people really don't realize about women who operate this way. Women who take on the mentality that I have options is typically women who, like, they want you to flourish and struggle. A lot of women who come out mentally stronger and more soft and trying to live a more softer life, trying to live a life that's not as stressful, they are often the very women who have been through a lot of things. The woman who's been through a lot of things, the woman who's had a lot of experience in life, the woman who used to be the kind of person who could be easily manipulated, easily conned into believing that she's stuck, easily, led to believe that somehow struggle is, just wonderful. Those are typically the women that get the most haters and jealous people, because now she realizes that all of that is nuts. All of that is foolish, and no longer falls for the okie doke, as they say. She doesn't fall for it. And because of that, you will have jealous, envious people. Okay, Ashonda at large. I have literally binge watched a lot of your videos. I appreciate that it's a channel out here like this about jealousy. I deal with it so much, especially on these jobs. Loretta Toombs, I am so glad that the channel is helping you. And it's unfortunate that you deal with this a lot on the job, but I do understand that, because anytime you're around a lot of people trying to accomplish something, you're going to have people who might start showing envy and jealousy towards you, especially if you start doing better than them in a certain thing. Lovely Dow, I've noticed people hate on women who are happy and single, childless, or happily married with good supportive husband. Well, naturally, a woman, if she's not in a good place with her husband and she is jealous, because somebody can be in a bad place with their husband and still not be jealous of another woman. She'll just simply mind her business. But there are some people who want you to suffer because they're suffering. They feel like, okay, well, if you have a bad, I have a bad marriage, you have a bad marriage, especially if you're a friend, I don't want to hear about all of that. Now, there's a level of sensitivity, of course. If you're somebody's friend and you know she's going through it, you don't want to throw it in their face. But I'm guessing you're just saying in general how some women are like that. I see this all on TikTok, even on YouTube, how some women are talking about how, you know, being married is the best thing. There's some people that, put out channels saying this is the reason why women will never be married. They always make being married like a prize. And then you have some women being single, they elevate it as if it's some kind of prize. And in my opinion, if you have to elevate one or the other, like if you really have to put out there that I'm so great because of this, that's kind of like overcompensation. Where it's like, if you're happy, just be happy, like if your marriage is great, just be great, But if you feel the need to constantly overemphasize happy, single, married happiness, it's like you're kind of putting on, you know what I mean? So when I see videos like that of women bragging about this, bragging about that, nothing wrong with showing your happiness about being married. But again, for me, I don't put anybody or any situation really on a pedestal because I just see it like all people fall short in some way. You can have the best husband, the best wife, and people can still fall short in some way. You could be happily single, but still, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're happy. But then there could be 5% of the time where you're sitting or laying in your bed crying because you wish somebody was there. It's like, everything has its ups and downs. So I don't elevate one or the other. You could be a happily married woman, 95% of the time. But when you have to ask your husband for something and he says no, or you got to consult him on doing something, that doesn't feel make you feel good in the moment. So everything has its ups and downs. You know what I mean? Exclusive Marina, thank you for opening up your experience and helping us with the same experiences you face. God bless you. And we are not alone. Others know we feel and experience it as well. Absolutely. A big part of the reason why I started this channel is because I wanted women to understand that they are not alone. I knew deep down that a lot of the things that I've been through, a lot of the things I've observed, a lot of my thoughts and things, just the way I see things, I knew that there were other women out here who could identify with these things. And I decided to put it out there because I just wanted other women to feel kind of how I felt a little bit, because a lot of the things I talk about, as you might imagine, these are not topics that you just randomly talk to about with other people that, they might not be on that same page with you. They might have the mindset of like, why are you worrying about that? Who cares about jealous people? We just don't worry about them. But if you're being impacted by a jealous person, if you're being, envied by somebody, or somebody's, hating on you or treating you differently because you're doing better, you might not be able to relay that to the people who are around you because they're in that, that category. Unfortunately, they're in the category of thinking that somebody putting down your success or clowning you every moment they get, they might think that's a normal thing, and it's not. So you really can't go to them because they're like, hey, that's just how people are. And it's like, no, decent people are not like that. Not all the time. I'm not saying somebody can't joke with you and say, oh, you think you this now. No, you can tell when somebody's joking with you about your success or whatever, calling you boss lady, messing with you. And then you can tell when somebody's really trying to cut away at your confidence, cut away at your mental, all because they're jealous. They're taking little shots at you and trying to sabotage you and trying to get you to settle because they're jealous. So I started this channel because I knew that there are other women who are going through these things or have gone through these things and can relate. This topic, these kind of things are not for the average person. This is not for the person who likes to act like things don't exist and just, put their head in the clouds. So I wanted to be able to relate and communicate with other women who might feel alone in what they're going through and just kind of let them know you're not alone. Like a lot more women than what you realize experience these things, especially with other women, dealing with other women, jealousy and envy, and not really knowing why it's like that or how to deal with it when it comes, still feeling good about yourself when it comes. I know a lot of women don't really understand it because I didn't understand it. I would think, I'm not perfect, but I'm not problematic. I'm not perfect, but I'm not problematic at the time anyway. So, what is the problem? Like, I try to be nice to everybody. I'm around all these women and they treat me this way, and I don't understand why they treat me this way. Like, am I being too nice? Like, what's wrong with me? I would often, especially when I was in my teens and early 20s, I would internalize a lot of different things and always feel like there was something on the inside of me that was causing people to treat me a certain way. And I soon realized as I kind of like got closer to my 30s that no, it's something wrong with them. It's not me. Like, I'm not perfect, but I'm not doing anything to warrant them to be so nasty or to, try to put me down in every shot they get or to, act like what I do is no big deal. Like, it's okay for a friend to clap for you. I've seen other people's friends clap for them. So why aren't mine doing the same thing? I've seen other people's family be happy for what they're doing. How come mine is not acting the same way? That's not normal. And when you start recognizing that, you suddenly change up as a woman. I know when I recognize those kind of things, it's like my confidence hit like a level 10, where it was like, okay, I started seeing it as, well, I must be somebody because otherwise they wouldn't be treating me that way. Number one. And then when I got more spiritually inclined, of course, I saw who God said I am. I'm just like, okay, sky's the limit here. Like, what did Little Kim say in that song? I'm saved, but I don't listen to that song anymore. But because it's part of my childhood. If I was you, I would hate me too. I used to love that song. I would play that over and over again. And that just stuck with me. And I'm like, that might sound conceited to somebody else, but when you recognize that people are jealous and envious of you for essentially just being yourself and not being problematic, not being miserable, for being optimistic and caring about how you look, for taking care of yourself. And bear in mind, because I know there are some very superficial, shallow people, you don't have to be a beauty queen in order for people to envy your looks or how you carry yourself. As long as you carry it well, I have had women be jealous and envious toward me, have their little comments, and I perceive them. Listen to me, I perceive them as looking better than me. I perceive them as like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. And yet she was giving me the side eye, the attitude, all of that. It's weird. Let me look at some of your comments. This discussion is very necessary. Some of us are book smart, but lack emotional intelligence and get burnt by people we thought were in our corner. Ashonda at large, it takes boldness to say that. So I absolutely appreciate you for saying it. And I appreciate you for acknowledging that too. A lot of women lack emotional intelligence where you can't really see what's right in front of you and you can't read how people are treating you. You can't like read the signs, the body language and all of that. And I'm not saying every time you're talking to someone, you're going to be looking for body language cues and all of that. Everything is not that deep. But when somebody's mistreating you and you let it go on for longer than it needs to, you're overlooking something, Loving my life like I'm golden. Jill Scott, clever girl reading. That's not the song I was referring to, but I like that song too. Yes, this happens all the time. My jobs, right before I left my last job, my coworker that was very oppositional wrote me a farewell note and told me to take my light and shine it at the new job. I bet she did because you probably were shining too bright where she was, so she's glad you're leaving. Hater. I hate her. And a little backhanded compliment before you go. Hey, sounds like you made the right move. 7 Golden Nugget 7, welcome. Good evening. I'm new to your channel. I am one of those women who make others jealous. I'm always surprised who it is. Absolutely. It'll be somebody who you look at them and you admire them. Like you use them as an example of like the kind of clothes you're going to get or the kind of hairstyle. Like it might be somebody that you look at and say, wow, I like her style. And the whole time she can't stand you for some reason that is deeper than looks, deeper than clothing, deeper than any of that. You have people, you could be a woman, like I said, simply because you feel like and you have options. You're never stuck. They don't like that. They want you to be afraid because half of them are afraid. Their life is in somebody else's hands. Your life can trigger them. Absolutely. Soul text. I just entered my welcome. I just entered my late 20s. It took me this long to realize this is an issue that I needed to place hard boundaries on. Absolutely. When you allow other people to make you feel like there's something wrong with you, and I'm not saying that if you have things you need to work on, you work on those things, but when you allow somebody else's insecurity and their projection of their own issues and the things that they're going through, when you allow people to project that onto you and cause you to be mentally, spiritually disrupted in some way, that's a problem. When you don't understand that everybody's else's insecurity within them, their own insecurities is their problems. And let me make the disclaimer. A lot of us have insecurities. It's not abnormal to have insecurities. It's abnormal to have insecurities and then to take them out on other people. That's abnormal. So I want to make that disclaimer. All of us have insecurities about something. At the moment, my insecurities is about my arms. Like I'm trying to get them together before the summer because I don't want to be double waving at everybody in the summer. That's my insecurity right now. Okay. So we all have some type of insecurity. The problem comes when you take your insecurities and put that on other people and try to make them feel bad about themselves. That's the issue. What do I look like feeling upset with the fact that my arms are not as toned as I would like them to be at this moment? But I see a woman walking by with tight toned arms and I'm going to look at her and be like, whatever. Why? No, I'm going to look at her and say, how did you get the striations? How did you get the cuts? I need the cuts by June. I need to know how you did it. Or I'm just going to look at her and that's going to motivate me to lift more weights. I'm not going to say, no, my arms are flabby, yours be flabby too. I'm not going to do that. That's my problem. I have to work on that. That probably was too much, but 100% on Buzz Ruby TV. Now I'm dealing with an older one, a younger one, and never ends. But I guess that's a benchmark of sorts. They come in all ages. Liberty, hey sis, welcome to the channel. Welcome. How do you not take on projections? Well, in order to not allow somebody to project their insecurities onto you, you have to, number one, recognize that it's not personal. When you recognize a thing for what it is, when you, especially if it's somebody you know, and you kind of see where they are in their life right now, it might be easier for you to not personalize it and realize that, you know what, hey, they're going through their own things right now. I'm not going to let them use me as some kind of punching bag or dumping ground, but I recognize that they're going through it. So I'm going to not talk to them as much. I'm not going to be around them as much. I'm not going to allow their presence to dim my light or to bring me down in some way. When people are going through things that they themselves don't know how to get out of, their energy can be very heavy. And when somebody has that heavy negative energy where they feel like they're stuck and they're jealous of other people, they will absolutely try to dump that spirit of heaviness on you. But when you recognize that, hey, I see that they're just not feeling too good about themselves right now. If it's a friend, if they're not being a hater, you can try to encourage them. But if they are like that and still trying to come at you and put you down, it's best for you to keep your distance from that person. Because people, when they feel like there's no way out in their own life, they will try their best to try to get you to see no way to elevate in your own life. Or they want you to believe that the things that you're doing or trying to do are unrealistic. Like, that's not how life works. You're being delusional. That's not real life. You know, those kind of things. Liberty, you do one-on-one. Sorry to bother. Absolutely, I do one-on-one consultations. So yes, ladies, and that's another thing I want to put out there, because a lot of your questions that I see in the comment section, I can't really just answer those in details. That's more of a consult. So that's something you would have to email me about if you have specific questions or specific things pertaining to whatever topics. You would have to email me and we could set up a consultation to have a conversation about those things, because that's not something that I just answer in a quick comment. That's an actual consultation. So yes, Liberty, I do. take one-on-ones. I'm not a mod. This is my third time on the channel, but can we please give her the likes she deserves? Clever Girl Reading, thank you very much for that. And yes, soon I will be looking for moderators. I appreciate you. Yes, give me the likes if you would like to, because that does help the algorithm. So I appreciate you. Thank you for that. 7 Golden Nugget, I am like this. I want to know things and ask questions like where you get your makeup, hair done, etc. It's hard at times being a newbie in the DMV area. So thank you for that. Firstly, I appreciate you. But honestly, I don't know, like, if doing a video on hair and makeup and all that, like, I have to remind myself sometimes that, okay, they don't watch you for all of that. You're giving out the content, you're giving this, don't worry about this, don't worry about that. But I keep it together. But maybe one day I will do a video about that. I just don't really think about it too much. But thank you so very much for the compliments. I have seen some of your comments about my hair and about the, makeup and all that kind of stuff. How do I keep it natural? So maybe I will do a video about that in the future. But thank you. I'm telling you, I really don't do that much, but thank you. I had to back away from younger coworker. I'm above Ruby's TV. Yes, Miss All Things Woman. I had to back away from a younger coworker that started acting weird. Literally went silent out of nowhere, but got me a grand Valentine's Day gift. I'm so confused. I have no idea. That is kind of odd. I mean, who knows? Maybe they might have been going through something. Maybe you could have misread it. I don't know, because that's odd to act that way and then give you a Valentine's Day gift. Who knows? And sometimes, ladies, I just have to put this out there too. If you don't care, such like myself sometimes, because I've had that situation with coworkers too, where suddenly, like, we were really close talking and all that, then all of a sudden you act like you don't see me, you don't speak. Sometimes, how can I say this? I just don't care. It's like we're coworkers, but we're not friends. Like, whatever, essentially I come here to get my money and go home. Half the time when I was at work, I would be on the computer. When it's slow, I'm thinking about my YouTube channel, the things I can do to elevate this, my businesses, my books. I'm working on my own things. So I don't need that much conversation anyway. So those kind of things, unless like we're like close, I don't really even let it faze me. It's like, hey, she doesn't want to talk today. Okay. Cinnabon, thanks, gotta run. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you for being here. Clever Girl Reading will watch a hair and makeup video if you want to do them. Yes. Hello, Angel Mom. Welcome. Yeah, we are talking about how people suddenly change up when you get out of the struggle. They become jealous and envious when you suddenly are no longer in the struggle. We're talking about people who only love you, only like you when you are in the struggle. That's a problem. Oh, man. I'm going to have to get off of here in a moment. Got some bad news. Not me personally, but family. So, but I'll still be on for a few. Then I got to reach out to them. But yes, this is not when you're struggling with something, people absolutely love you. But you know what? I'm going to wrap this up because I can't focus right now because of what I just got. Letting you all know it's not me personally, but it is family related, my family-in-law. So I am going to wrap this up. I appreciate you all. I'm going to be going live again this week, so this will not be the last one. And I'll probably do a part 2 to this conversation. So yes, just continue to watch this live. If you didn't see it from the beginning, come back and watch it. And if you have not gotten the books, How to Be a Feminine Woman, The Blueprint, I suggest you get that. And then Girl on Girl Wars, a book on jealousy and envy amongst women. Get the book. And if you are interested in one-on-one consultations, please email me. I do one-on-one consultations. They are not free. However, you will not be breaking the bank for them, okay? So like and subscribe if you have not already done so. I absolutely appreciate you all. You're welcome above Ruby's TV. Thank you so much, Clever Girl Reading. Thank you so very much, you all. Take care.